Knitting Daily has been sponsored in part by Feza Yarns, America's source for novelty yarns. FezaYarns.com.
We're at TNNA in Columbus, Ohio with Katie Baldessaro from Feza Yarns. Welcome, Katie.
Thank you.
So show us what we're working on today. I think it's this really great little flower pattern.
Yeah, we're working on a bunch of different little flower boutonnieres or things that you can add to a shawl or any other project. That's a good scrap yarn buster because it just takes about 15 or 20 yards of whatever you're working with.
So you can kind of use and mix and match leftovers from all your projects.
Absolutely. If you just finished a sweater and you still really like that yarn, you want to just kind of carry it around with you, these are great. Tons of different people are wearing them. You'll see a lot of cashiers in stores wearing them on top of their aprons to make it personalized.
Very cute. So it seems like a great way to be kind of creative with it, with your different yarns.
Oh, absolutely.
So show us how you actually make them.
So we got basically two different sizes of the same exact shape that we're winding up with here. This is the smaller hourglass.
It's kind of like a little bow tie shape.
Yeah, bow tie. My mom thought that they looked like farfalla, which is the butterfly pasta. So I want to eat them all the time.
So, and we make these separately?
Yeah, you're going to make each one individually, and then they come together to be sewn to make the flower.
Okay.
So right now I have one here out of a fuzzy novelty yarn. That's going to be right ready to do the decreasing at the lower part where we begin to tuck in.
So I want to make sure that everybody can see. So in this smoother yarn, you can see that it kind of goes in towards the center, right?
And it's really easy to do that.
And what yarns are you using for this one?
For this one right now, I'm using a metallic cotton and acrylic blend yarn here. And then I'm using a multi kind of yarn. It's got a little bit of feather, a little bit of ribbon, some flag yarn. You get to try out a whole bunch of different stuff when you get to do this one, which is why it's fun for these because you can really add a lot of different color. So basically all that you're doing is we're just kind of doing like a modified, a finished edge. So you're gonna knit the first 2 stitches on the right side row. We've already knit about 4 rows to get to this point of the first decrease.
So we just knitted 2 stitches, and now we're going to decrease a stitch?
Yep, we're just going to decrease a stitch, and we're going to go slip, slip, knit them together. That's it. And you get to the last 4 stitches in the row, and you're going to knit 2 together, and then just knit the last 2.
Great. So maybe in a slightly smoother yarn, people can see that that makes a decrease that leans this way and a decrease that leans that way.
Exactly.
And you get that great little triangle.
Exactly. You get that nice finished edge.
So you decrease down to a certain size, right?
You decrease. If you're making the small one, you're going to start with 16 stitches. I mean, the small one starts with 12. The large one starts at 16. They're both going to wind up decreasing till 8 stitches.
Okay.
Then you work a few rows straight, depending on whether you're doing the large or the small, and it says in the pattern.
Oh, and the pattern is going to be for free on the web, is that right?
Yeah, we're going to make the pattern available free for everybody.
And so you've knitted at the center, and now you're going to increase, I guess.
Yep, so we did all our decreases to get to 8, and then we did a little bit of a center bit there. And now we're going to do our increases. And it's pretty much exactly the opposite of our decreases, where we make the first 2 stitches knit on the right side, and then we're going to make a make one that slants to the right. So we pick up the one from below the stitch of the next stitch we're going to knit, put it up on the needle, and then just knit into it.
Great.
Then you knit across to the last 2 stitches on the row, just like we did before. And we're going to make the opposite increase. It's going to slant to the left. And you do that by picking up the stitch that below where you just knit and knitting that one as well. And then you knit the last 2 stitches.
Really simple. And do you increase and decrease every other row or every...
Well, in the pattern it tells you for the first increase and decrease, there's a row in between of stockinette to just smooth it out. But once you get towards this taper part, it's pretty much every right side row is going to decrease, and then every right side row is going to increase.
So you've got all your little butterflies, your little farfalle made.
Yeah.
And what do you do then?
Well, this is the part that I like to call the wabi-sabi part. You grab the pieces that you like. I mean, they could be done out of different yarns. You don't have to just use 2 yarns. I like to use a solid yarn that you can really see some of the definition in, and something that's a little bit more textural or glitzy glam to give it a punch. So you're going to want to take one of your big ones and just pinching it right in the middle just to make it look more like a butterfly. And then you would sew that with a different piece of yarn. We're gonna weave in all these, because if you try and sew right now, you're just gonna get lost in all these different ends.
And then stack them up together and then add a little button for an accent?
Absolutely.
Great.
They stack right on top of each other, and then you use a little vintage button, something you might have had left over anyway that you really liked. And you get a little flower when you're
Let's
done.
just take a look at a couple more options. Like here we've got a really soft yarn with some subtle glitter and kind of a more furry yarn, right?
Yeah, I'm more of a furry, flaggy yarn.
And you would get more like an effect like this.
Exactly. Kind of more like a carnation where you get something tight in the middle and then something feathery on the outside.
Well, great. What a fun stash buster.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much, Katie.
No worries, thank you.
We'll be right back.